Good evening, friends. Happy Friday. I hope you're having a wonderful day and a wonderful start to your weekend, or whenever you're watching the recording. Tonight's event is about the root of pain. And by pain, I don't just mean physical ailment or nerve damage or anything of the sort. I also mean both physical and emotional and the connection between those. I have just a front and a back of notes to go over. So if you see me looking down, it's to refer to my notes. And in preparation of this little event, instead of going through like textbook type form, I thought in my head of like my five top questions that I could possibly generate in my mind um, in relation to pain and how everything is kind of intertwined in our bodies. And it's actually become one of my more favorite subjects of studying. Another one of my favorites is blood sugar, but I've already done one of those events. So if you wanted to watch the one about blood sugar, go on over to my YouTube channel and you'll see the one about blood sugar and insulin resistance. I almost tripped over my words, but it's very fascinating. I find the health subjects to be very fascinating, and it's a good foundation for anyone looking to take on something to better their health and their well-being, especially when we start at the root. So tonight's the root of pain. And the five questions that I came up with, and I'm going to go over just during the duration of this call, this video, is where does it come from? Where does pain come from? That was the first question. Because I think where is a good foundational question for pretty much anything. And why do we feel physical pain long after the injury has happened? That's number two. Why does it sometimes physically hurt when we feel emotional unrest? So, the relationship between feeling emotionally unwell and then physically unwell as a result. That's what that means. And what does gut health have to do with pain? That actually became the big one. So that might even be the grand finale question, because obviously, like I said, everything is connected, and you can pretty much root everything when you look at health in a more holistic way is rooted in gut health, blood sugar balance, and inflammation. Inflammation being in relation to pain, of course. And the last question, in what way does inflammation actually reduce through healing the gut? And I added in through healing the gut instead of just through healing after what I have found online. And you'll find out um, this is actually something that you can do a simple search on for yourself. But I think part of the battle is sometimes knowing the right things to look up. And it's not just, you start with it like a keyword at first, but take yourself down the correct kind of like rabbit hole to get all the information. And I have a really, I guess you want to call it a sparkling curiosity when it comes to all things related to gut health, blood sugar balance, and inflammation. And inflammation, pain, um, really sparks something because it just seems to be all encompassing and it's non discriminatory. Every person from anywhere in the world, any age, from just born to 100 years old or more, uh, young or old, tall or short, skinny, fat, anyone, who's anyone, any language you speak, any place you live, everyone's experienced some kind of pain. So it's like a human nature type of thing. And that's what makes it, I guess, so fascinating to me. So we'll go over the first question is where does it come from? And this is more in the line of physical pain. Where's the causation? Where's the pinpoint starting point? Aside from the physical injury itself, but like where does the essence or like the perception of pain come from? Pain comes from tissue damage, inflammation, or nerve damage, and it can be a result of an injury to the bone, soft tissue, organs, a nerve damage caused by injury or disease that has invaded the body, or even pressure on a nerve as a result of perhaps, say, like a tumor, or even an example that was given online, a ruptured disc in the spine can be a cause of back pain. So everything has a cause, and usually some kind of injury ailment in some form or another to your body, and an injury that causes pain or it causes damage to your nerve can be a little bit more longer lasting than a lot of maybe like surface level type pains, like if you jammed your finger with a hammer or making a birdhouse. The nerve damage will last longer than the actual physical act of getting your thumb smashed by the hammer. And your brain receives this message of injury and processes pain, and then sends the message back to the body to react. So this is something we'll go over in a later question that comes up. Excuse me, I have a little bit of indigestion and I ate spinach, so it's all I take straight. Only a few more months of this. Ooh, cross your fingers, pray for me, friends. Yeah, we can go into more in depth through one of my next questions, but that is the important part. Is like not only do you get the physical aspect of the injury happening, it's also a response of the brain to say, okay, that hurt, sends the message back to the spot, causes the pain. And it's pretty simple, but we'll go more in depth, like I said. And for the second question, why do we feel pain long after the injury? And the results of an injury is often a cut, like, or a bruise, or a broken bone, or broken ligaments, tendons, all sorts of things. While some things heal faster than others, one of the things that take longest to heal is probably even like a psychological effect of it. And what I had found for this question is that we feel pain long after the injury due to the sensation where the brain becomes more sensitive to pain signals due to the initial injury, causing the brain to interpret even minor stimuli as pain, even when the original tissue damage has healed. So it's kind of like, I don't know if you've ever had any stitches or something, but if, after some time, the stitched up area will also heal. But once all that tissue is like knitted back together, the area where the stitches were, like say after my knee surgery, I had 4 spots where they had to cut open my knee, and in all 4 of those spots, they used stitches to stitch my skin back together and heal. But obviously, they needed to cut not just the surface level, but go deep into my knee. I'm getting grossed out, and they had like a camera, and in one of them, they had to dig out a hamstring to make a graft for my ACL ligament in my knee. And the more I talk about this, the more gross it is. But those were kind of deep, so the surface level is healed, but it takes a long time for that soft tissue to heal. And also, your brain is so used to that spot hurting, so it might perceive the pain longer. So, like, you hit your knee, like I did 18 months after my knee surgery, I accidentally got my knee caught in the door, and that sent me over the edge. Even though it was mostly healed, the pain receptors around the knee and the memory of it were still there, and still caused me immense discomfort, and I needed ice immediately. So that's never a fun thing. So on to that point, the body's inflammatory response or even nerve damage can lead to the lingering pain that has been felt. Like I just explained with the knee surgery, you can extrapolate that and put it into any kind of context for anything that you've gone through, like a major surgery or even childbirth. God help us women. But it's kind of like the same kind of thing. You just apply it to your localized area of pain. And past pain experiences can lead to psychological factors, like I just mentioned, in the realm of kind of pain anxiety that can cause it to linger. And chronic pain is when it persists for an extended period of time past the healing time. Things like physical therapy, inflammation reduction methods. I like to go the natural route. Some people use pain medication, um, just to manage the physical aspect of pain, but along with psychological related factors being addressed, like the stress and anxiety from feeling physical pain. Don't mind my dog over there. Can be the key to healing the pain. So you take all these different moving parts. You got your physical therapy. You have your ingestible pain management. I like to go the natural route. Some people go medication route. The natural route might give you better results. Just putting that out there. Some people like the medication. It's their thing, but that's okay. But you also have those two things along with addressing the psychological effect. Like, if I can use my knee again, for example, one of the things that my knee surgeon has said to me is, okay, now you're past the initial stage. You got to take the surgical cast off. They kept it completely straight from bending the knee, so it could heal properly without disruption. I couldn't put my foot on the floor. But once I was past that point, when I was starting to be on crutches and had the flexible knee brace and could kind of like sort of walk again, go to physical therapy, he said, okay, this is the time you take your knee back. This is the time that you also have to address the mental health aspect of, okay, your knee is different now, but this is your knee once again. The the hard part is over, so to speak. Now you take your knee back after the initial injury and everything. And it is kind of like a mind game. You have to like remind yourself, I'm going to take my knee back. I'm taking my knee back. I'm getting my life back. I'm getting back on my feet. One of these days, I'll be able to walk without crutches again. One of these days, I'll be able to even jog again and then run again and then do all the things I loved to do before. But you have to start with that initial psychological aspect that comes with not just any kind of surgery, but any kind of pain that takes you off your feet or takes you out of who you are. So, like I said, there is that psychological aspect, and that is also why I had the next question. Why does it sometimes physically hurt when we are emotional? So, if the pain, the next one's on the back. Not just like a mental aspect of a physical injury, but the physical aspect of, I guess you would maybe not call it an emotional injury, but an emotional malady where you're not like feeling yourself, you're overcome with anxiety, you're having feelings of depression, other mental health aspects. You don't feel quite 100% and you kind of feel off and you're all tensed up and you're uneasy and your body has all these different reactions to how you feel on the inside in your head. So emotions can cause physical pain because the brain regions that process emotions and physical pain overlap. So, you look at your head in the whole of your body. Your head is kind of a smaller part on your body, but it has so many different functions. So it's really likely for these things to overlap and kind of coincide with each other. And holding in anger can cause muscle tension. You ever got so angry that you're just all stiffened up and you clench all your muscles, and I'm going like this just to signify clenching muscles. You're all tensed up. So it's kind of like when you work out. You work out, you you use up all your energy and use your physical body way more than you do on a normal basis in your daily life. So that would cause intense muscle fatigue and some pain. Same thing when you're angry, you get all tensed up, so all your muscles are engaged, granted, not in a very productive way, as working out is. So it's more likely to cause you physical pain from this clenching of like all of your muscles and tension. Um, it can be really emotionally and physically devastating to hold into anger. So always let it go, and you'll feel better. And you'll be able to breathe better. See, even me right now, just thinking about angry, remember to breathe. Because, you think about anger and you're just that clenched up fight or flight instinct. But emotional pain can increase your heart rate as well. And just thinking about maybe something that made me angry at some point in my life, my heart rate will go up a little bit. And, that causes you to not feel like you're at rest. That's not your resting heart rate. That's more like your running heart rate. I can't speak. Your running heart rate. Sorry, words are hard. um, so you're in completely sitting still, sedentary, but your heart's racing because your mind's racing, and it's increased your heart rate, and also you can get a shortness of breath because just think of that running example again. If you're not breathing properly, you're going to start like panting like a dog, like gasping for air, like you need to adjust your breath accordingly. So if your heart rate's up like you're running, but you're sitting still and you're all clenched up because you're angry and your breath is kind of labored and stuff, you're going to be all over the place, uncomfortable. That's not right, right? So we want to kind of breathe, relax, shake it out a little bit, um, don't hang on to emotional stressors like that. And another thing, aside from the breath and the heart and the clenched muscles, is you get abnormal stomach activity. You ever said, like, I'm so upset my stomach is in knots, or I'm so stressed out that I feel like I'm gonna vomit, or something like that? That is, again, the other physical response to having the emotion. Because the brain is wired the way it is, our emotions and our physical pain receptors overlap, and it also affects everything all at once. Because you can't just feel something in your finger all by itself. Excuse me. That dang spinach. I digress. You won't just feel it localized, you'll feel it all over, especially if it's something gripping and emotional, like a feeling of panic, anxiety, stress, anger, all those negative emotions. You can feel it all over your body. And that's why it's best um, when you go work out and you work out your body, you can actually relieve emotional pain. That's why that also works in a flip flop kind of same way, but oppositely. Um, studies have suggested, and this is something I underline, that up to 75% of people with chronic pain also experience anxiety and depression. So if you're hurting all the time, so is your heart, so to speak, your mental. The important thing is to know is that's okay, because if everything is all related in a negative way, then you can heal it all in a positive way and be all affected in a very positive direction. So my second to last question is what does gut health have to do with pain? And this is kind of like my favorite part. So, gut health and pain are closely related because the gut microbiome is directly in is in an is a direct influence on pain perception through the gut-brain axis, where the signals from the gut bacteria can reach the central nervous system, potentially contributing to the development and experience of chronic pain, including visceral, inflammatory, and neuropathic. I'm sorry, that word. I don't know about that word. Essentially, an unhealthy gut can send signals that lead to an increase in pain sensitivity. Managing stress, taking the right probiotics, products, anti-inflammatories, etc., and diet modification are key factors in improving pain receptors and finding relief. So that kind of encompasses everything we've been talking about so far. When you also address your gut health, which is the root of most health, it addresses the root cause of the root pain as well. And it said the gut brain axis would be like from your brain to your gut. It's like a two-way street. It's called the vagus nerve. It's two-way, it's always coming and going at the same time. You don't control it. It is an automatic response, kind of like you could tell your body to blink more, but essentially blinking is an, you know, a secondary body thing. And then if you're not thinking about it, you automatically breathe too. So unless you're like thinking about it with your eyes flickering or blinking and you're breathing, but the difference is you don't think about these receptors sending and receiving in your body. It's absolutely automatic. And it happens waking and sleeping. So it's like your body's like this whole big system that's constantly going as long as you're alive. And it's constantly sending and receiving these signals, just kind of like, I don't know, if you're running diagnostics on a computer and it's telling you that there's something going on in one corner of your computer. It's always checking the diagnostics. It's always saying, hey, everything's running right over here, but you got this. And, that might be your little tiny injury, and your brain will notice that, and so on and so forth. It's a lot of computer analogies when it comes to the brain because it is kind of like just like a master processor for our entire body. Without the brain, nothing else works. Nothing else knows what to do. The brain is the manager, and the body is everyone else that's working on the job. There's no manager, they don't know what to do. Now, lastly, my last question here is, in what way does inflammation actually reduce through healing the gut? And aside from the other one, this is also a favorite of mine because it just goes to show that everything is truly related. And if you want one thing better, you work on another thing that's closely related and more of the root of the root. So it's like if you see a big tree, it's got big roots to it, and then all those little roots got little hairs sticking off it, like the smaller roots that reach out even further. You heal the big root, and the other roots are good, and then the whole tree is good. You know what I mean? So I don't mean to talk like one of the Ernest movies. You know what I mean? Let me know. Um, so when the gut heals, inflammation reduces because the intestines, I cannot read my name. The intestinal lining repairs itself through the process, restoring the barrier function that prevents harmful substances from leaking into the bloodstream. So, healing your gut prevents something that's called also, in layman's terms, leaky gut, where actually if there's perforation, little holes like Swiss cheese holes, very small, but enough to let harmful toxins and bacteria out into your bloodstream and out into your body that makes you sick. So healing the gut allows your intestinal lining to recover as well, so everything starts getting healed, like I said, from the root. So think of your intestines like a tree trunk roots. The significant big roots that are directly under the tree before they branch off into the other little roots. This in turn can trigger the immune system to calm down and decrease inflammatory response. And this process involves the activity of beneficial gut bacteria that produces anti-inflammatory compounds and the migration of immune cells to the site of damage to facilitate repair. So your immune cells are the cells that keep your body healthy. That's your white blood cells. And when you have an injury, they rush to the site of the injury and they start getting on the construction team, so to speak, to repair the problem that you're having. But if you have a gut that's out of balance, or if even your blood sugar is out of balance, all your immune cells are like, wait, I start with this job, what about this job? But I need to heal that because that's a new wound. But all these organs are negatively affected by too much blood sugar, and this and that, and this person also has the whole leaky intestinal walls, leaky gut. I don't know where to begin. So that's why your healing process is slow and your immune cells are all frantic, and you might um, even see on a blood test that your immune cell count is higher because it's trying to send out all its troops to do all the different repairs to your body all over the place at the same time. And it's going frantic and it's going nowhere fast because they can't kind of like organize, and there's so many different jobs to do. That's again why we always start with healing the root. And I put a little star because I ran out of room at the bottom. Another thing about that last question is the factor that hinder gut health is an unhealthy diet, depression, and disease that is unmanaged. So if you have a disease in your body and you don't really know about it, or what you're taking isn't doing something very effective for it, that'll also hinder the ability for your gut to get to a healthier state, which will also hinder. And I can't speak. I'm trying to say too much at once. Also hinders your body's ability to fight infections and also injury and everything. And having stress and chronic stress can impact your gut health and inhibit healing, plus even exacerbate the inflammation. I got a meter. I'm so sorry. Um, so all these things working together against your bettering of well-being can make it harder for your body to heal in general, is essentially what that is saying. So if you don't address one, another thing's going to be a problem. And if you don't address this other problem, it's going to create an even bigger problem. And then an even bigger problem. And before you know it, you're on like 10 medications and you're seeing a doctor. We don't want that, which is why I like to deliver this kind of information. And if you decide you want to start working on healing, get back to me after this call, probably through like Facebook, or leave a comment even in the YouTube video, or however you want to contact me and get a hold of me. And we can talk about ways to heal and work with making your body better, make you feel whole, and like you don't feel like you're fighting an uphill battle quite so badly. So your body can actually have the opportunity for you to get better, both with your chronic pain and your chronic mental health issues, because chronic doesn't mean it is a death sentence, okay? It doesn't mean that you're stuck that way forever, because I used to have chronic pain that lasted for years. And at a certain point in my life, when I was first starting the gym after a shoulder injury, because physical therapy didn't do me much good, and I said, okay, I need to do something more. I hadn't started healing my gut or taking care of my body very well at the time. So I worked out for like 4 or 5 years without seeing much of a difference because my diet was still kind of, and what I put in my body was still kind of trash. And I didn't drink enough water, but I got plenty of exercise. And I said, okay, well, I have this one thing down. What's missing? And they said, well, your diet is trash. You can't just keep going to like Wendy's or Taco Bell after the gym. You're just taking like 3 steps forward and 10 steps back. So it's really important to take care of all these different aspects, like good diet, good supplementation. If you never looked into that, and managing inflammatory issues with either the natural route like I do, or with pain medication if that's your prerogative. Dealing with the psychological factors, like dealing with your mental and emotional health. Like for me, I like doing that in the form of personal growth and development and getting through that and working through it, even with some professionals. But remember, for the most part, indigestion, I gotta go soon. For the most part, you spend the most time with your body. You know it the best. It should uh, lie in the responsibility of your own hands, because you can be your own biggest advocate and you can take care of yourself the best. And you see yourself the most. So you know the most about yourself. So you know where to begin, because you know what isn't feeling too great right now. And you know how you want to feel in the future. So, food for thought. I am so glad you could join me, whether that be for the call live or for the recording on YouTube that'll go up within an hour or two, or if I forget at the end of the weekend. But it will go up. And next week, I'm taking my little booklet here. We're a third of the way through these. I have like 10 of them left. So next week, we're going to talk about healthy natural energy. And that's also a topic that has some really, really interesting working parts to it. So we can talk about that with you guys. And that's all from my brain to yours. So bye for now, and I'll see you soon.